Rachel Zegler is toxic to any project that she touches, and the upcoming Hunger Games movie has been in a bit of a disastrous state because, of course, the actor strikes are still going on. So none of the actors that are part of this project have been able to do PR for the film. But now we are finding out that it is actually predicted to have the franchise worst opening weekend. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, I've enjoyed the other Hunger Games films. They weren't like the best movies ever, but they were at least enjoyable. But when it comes to this one, I do not have any hype for it at all. First of all, I'm a bit over prequels. I don't think that every popular franchise needs a prequel book or movie, but also Rachel Zegler has really killed any hype that I would have for this film simply because of her attitude, the way that she has just attacked anybody online that has criticized her, and overall, I do think that she has really poisoned this movie because, as it says, the upcoming prequel film, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, is predicted to have the franchise's worst opening weekend. And you would think that it wouldn't, that this movie would be one of the best because Hunger Games is now an established film franchise. People, went to theaters and saw the other ones so many times. They did so well. That's why they are making this movie. And I do think, again, part of that is prequel, but part of it is also Rachel Zegler. I think that people see her name on projects now and they are going to stray away from them. We have no idea what is going to happen, once we get to the Snow White film. But at least right now, when her comments are, fresh in the minds of consumers, it does seem to be affecting sales for this film. It says Box Office Pro recently shared their long-range predictions for the film, predicting the film will gross between 35 million and 45 million in its domestic opening weekend. The outlet also predicted the film would only gross between 90 million and 140 million in its entire run at the domestic box office. The previous worst opening weekend for the Hunger Games franchise was 2015's The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. The film grossed a total of 102.6 million in its opening weekend. It went on to earn 281.7 million in its domestic run in total. The original Hunger Games film actually had an opening weekend of 152 million back in 2012, and it went on to gross 408 million at the domestic box office. Now, these are just predictions, so this movie could do better than these predictions, but I would guess not. Box Office Pro is typically pretty on point with their predictions. And there's been so much negative news surrounding this movie. I don't think that it's going to blow these expectations out of the water. I don't think that this is going to be a billion-dollar film, but I never thought that. Even without Rachel Zegler getting in the way of this film's potential success, I didn't think that this was going to be a billion-dollar film. It says, though, the sequel, Hunger Games Catching Fire, had the biggest opening weekend in the franchise history with 158 million haul in 2013. It went on to gross a total of 424.6 million at just the domestic box office, and then, of course, you have the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, which had an opening weekend of 121 million. It grossed 337.1 million domestically. So even on the lower end of these movies, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes still has a lot of heavy lifting to do. It still needs to make quite a bit of money in order to be, considered on par with these other films. But as it says, production budgets for the previous four films have ranged between 80 million for the first film to 160 million for Mockingjay Part 2. Now, we do not know the exact number for the budget when it comes to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but it has been estimated that this movie is costing them around, I believe it was 125 million, which is on par with Mockingjay Part 1. Again, that is just a rumor, that is just a, unconfirmed piece of news that we have heard, but it would, yeah, be on par with these other films. So not only would it be one of the most expensive Hunger Games films to be created, but that means that they have to make way more money because it is on the higher end. They at least need to double the budgets when it comes to movies, and studios, of course, aim to triple the budget simply because that is when they actually start making money on the movies. And, that doesn't sound like it's going to happen here, at least from these predictions. It says, though, if you take trends from both the Mockingjay films, which saw just shy of a 30% increase in the international box office compared to domestic, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes will only bring in 207 million globally, which would be a disaster on the rumored $125 million budget. However, if you take the split from the original film, it will only bring in around 151 million globally. Now, of course, there's a lot riding on this movie. First of all, this is the only Hunger Games movie for the foreseeable future, because this does cover the prequel book that Suzanne Collins made, and she has not released another Hunger Games novel since Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So this is going to be the last time they can milk the Hunger Games for at least a couple of years, because they have followed very closely with her books. They have tried not to, create a bunch of random content surrounding her franchise, except for what she has written. So it's going to be years until another Hunger Games movie is in the works, because I highly doubt that they would drop the franchise, even if this movie didn't make as much as they were expecting, simply because it has proven to be, profitable in the past. But they do have a lot riding on this because of that. And then you have to consider these are some pretty well-known actors in this movie. Peter Dinklage is in it. Viola Davis is in it. Rachel Zegler, even though she's not, she's well-known now for, negative reasons. So they do have, a lot of money to pay actors. But honestly, I'm kind of hoping that this movie does flop at the box office. I typically don't say that, because ultimately, if you want to enjoy a piece of content, that's awesome, that's great. I hope that you enjoy it, because I don't want entertainment to come out and be bad. But I just think that this movie is kind of steeped in a nightmare right now, and I don't want Rachel Zegler to have a win under her belt, because it's just going to make her statements going forward so much worse. It's going to make her so much more egotistical, and I don't want that to happen with her. She is not a good actress. She does not deserve all of these roles that she is getting. And I would say, I hope that in the future she actually takes a look at her past comments and tries to grow from them and actually start caring about what fans have to say, but it doesn't seem like that is going to happen anytime soon. But yes, currently the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is predicted to have the worst franchise opening weekend, in part, it sounds like, thanks to Rachel Zegler. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.